at distance word problems. Let's look at the first one. On Tuesday, the express train made the trip in 12 hours. On Wednesday, the freight train made the same trip in 16 hours. We're going to find the rate of each if the rate of the freight train was 15 kilometers per hour less than the express train. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to make a note that we have express trains and freight trains so we can keep everything straight. The other thing that we need to remember is that distance is equal to rate times time. Now these trains are making the same trip, so I know that their distance is going to be equal. That's really important on all of these distance problems. Their distances have to be equal for us to solve these guys. So let's see what we know about the express train. Well, the express train made the trip in 12 hours. The freight train made the same trip in 16 hours. And notice that it says the same trip. If it's the same trip, then it's the same distance. Now they want us to find the rate, so I'm going to be looking for something in this first block. If the rate of the freight train was 15 kilometers per hour less than the rate of the express train. So the express train, we're just going to say has a rate of x. The freight train is the express train's rate minus 15. Now right here it tells me distance is equal to rate times time. Oh look, I have a rate, I have a time. X times 12 is going to give me 12x. 16 times x minus 15. Oh, remember? I'm going to have to distribute. So 16 times positive x gives me 16x. 16 times negative 15 gives me a negative 240. So I've already got my equation. I know that 12x is equal to 16x minus 240. I want to get my variable by itself. I'm going to subtract 16x from both sides. So now I have 12x minus 16x. That's going to give me negative 4x is equal to negative 240. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. So I have x is equal to negative divided by negative is a positive 60 kilometers per hour. Okay, so I know that x, I see that that was my express train, so I know that the express train traveled 60 kilometers per hour. So I know that the freight train was 60 minus 15. 60 minus 15 is equal to 45 kilometers per hour. Now another thing that you're going to be asked on some of these questions is, well, how far was the trip? Well, how far did these two trains go? Well, how far? That's just another way to say distance. Oh, I'm going to use this one, 12x. What was x? Oh, x was 60. 12 times 60 is equal to 12 times 60 is equal to 720 kilometers. So the trip that these two trains went on was 720 kilometers. The rate of these two trains, the express was 60 kilometers per hour and the freight was 45 kilometers per hour. The members of the girls' club hiked to Lake Lou at 2 miles per hour. Mrs. Andy gave them a ride back home at 12 miles per hour. Find the hiking time if it was 5 hours longer than their riding time. Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to look and see what we're talking about. Well, they hike and then they get a ride. So I'm just going to make that for my note. Okay, they hike and then they ride. Well, what's their rate when they hike? Okay, they hike at 2 miles per hour. Okay, what's their rate when they ride? Oh, 12 miles per hour. Oh, Miss Andy was driving slow. Now, what's the time? Find the hiking time if it was 5 hours longer than their riding time. So my riding time, I'm just going to call it X. My hiking time is going to be X plus 5 because it's 5 hours longer than the riding time. Now remember over here, distance is equal to my rate times time. I've got a rate, I have a time, so now I'm going to multiply those guys. 2 times X gives me 2X. 2 times positive 5 gives me plus 10. 12 times X gives me 12X. So now I have my equation. I have 2X plus 10 is equal to 12X. Need to isolate the variable. I'm going to subtract 2X from both sides. So now I have 10 is equal to 10X. Going to divide both sides by 10. So 1 is equal to X. So I know the X, that was my riding time. So I know that the riding time was 1 hour. And the hiking time, well, 1 plus 5 was 6 hours. Now I don't know about you, but I'm curious how far they hiked. So let's look at how far. Hey, now the good thing about this is it doesn't matter which distance equation you choose. They're both going to work, and I'm going to show you. So I know that X was equal to 1. So let's look at the first one, 2X plus 10. So 2 times 1 plus 10 is equal to 12. So their hike was 12 miles. Let's see what happens if we use the other equation. Oh, 12 times X. Okay, X was 1. That gives me 12 times 1. Oh, it's still 12 miles. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that 12X is easier to work with. So when I'm figuring these out, I'm going to choose the formula or the equation that is the least complicated for me to work with, because you're going to get the same answer no matter what.